Hey, Pixel Geeks, grab a tea. Jack and her robots, Excel set free. Collect commands, full speed ahead. The series runs from A to Z. Oh, a robot training show. A to Z. Let's go.
Hello and welcome to the letter C. So we're starting the letter C today. We're gonna do collect them all. I'm actually gonna, instead of my normal timer, I'm popping this little timer that I've made up here as our timer for progress. I'm going to stop. I've spent 42 minutes doing Excel stuff. And I'm gonna set this to still Excel stuff, but I will start it again. So we have a start on our 2-hour timer, and today we are starting with the letter C. We've finally gotten past Special and Adventures, and we are starting with Collect Them All. Collect Them All is a case from 2022 by Renje Vessels, and we're hoping that I'm doing a little bit better in this one, or that I don't spend 25 hours creating it. So today we're not actually building a robot, we're doing the pre-setup. I'm going to work out my 30-minute score, if I solve it in 30 minutes, the time I spent solving it, and how long it took for me to get the full score. So with a 2-hour stream, I would expect maybe to do a 30-minute timed run, and then another rerun with the full time it takes me to complete all of the levels. So let's get started. I have set up a game on the platform for A to Z training. Let us see, 30 minutes. It's got a 30-minute time limit, and this is my first time playing Collect Them All as far as I remember. I think in 22 I got to round of 32, and this was a round of 16, and sometimes I don't play all the cases. So I may have played this, I may not have played this. The way my brain works, I probably wouldn't remember it even if I had played it. So let's give it a go. 30 minutes is starting now. Start game. So we're downloading Collect Them All. I always click download twice, so I've got like a backup copy, and we're going to work with this file over here. I'm actually going to take that there. Wow, okay. Oh, we've got some dice in here. We've got a lot of dice in here. We've got a visualized game board. Okay, I have a vague recollection of this. I'm going to run a Control-Shift-G and kind of just set this up. Okay, I'm not going to run a Control-Shift-G to set this up. It kind of crashed out during level 1 setup, so let's just run it from the main case file. That one is not set up for my OA robot. We're working with a financial modeling consulting company as 2 teams of analysts, blah blah blah. This is the game board. We're going to need that as a table. I'm going to call that game board, and then we've also got this here, which is GB sheet. I'm going to call this GB map, I guess. And I don't know how much we're going to use that. We'll have a look. So, across all the games 1 to 100, but excluding the examples, how many times did a player throw 12? So, ideally my thing would have worked, but it did not. And I don't think I remember what the macro is. With the let's check that these lambdas. Case inputs, that's the one. That gives us a nice list of case inputs right there. So We're going to take a text split on this column for that. What we're looking for is a 6-6, which looks like this. Let's take that as a D1. Equals that minus minus, and then we're going to sum. We've got one of those there, and then we need to get this down to 100, so somewhere around here. So those two are excluded. Okay, so that counts how many 6s are in that column, and this should count how many 6s are in this column. And on this one we're going to do an if error than 0. And let's just do a sum. And that gives us 69. Nice. Okay. What's the total number of pips on all dices in games 1 to 100, excluding the examples? So we're going to do the same thing here. Except here, instead of doing, we've got this text split equals that. We're not actually going to do that. We're going to do the text split on that. And then we're going to do a dice by Hayden on the text split. Let's check if this works. There's our text split. I'm going to do a... No, we don't have dice as a command there, so we're going to have to use just the... Let's try the dice by Hayden. Okay, that gives us a 6, 5, blah, blah, blah. So that... let's do a bicol. We can't do a sum within the cell because we've actually got some things there. So we're going to go with a lambda a sum minus minus text split a comma space and then we can sum those. So, okay, that 69 was not right, but whatever. What is the total number of pips on all dices? Eight, 8, 7, 4. That's also not correct. Well, let's just start doing some levels. So, we're going to do a text split here. I wonder if we can just apply that directly. What is that giving us? Take this wrap text off. Let's put it left top. Okay, so it's space delimited and semicolon comma delimited. What is the price of the first restitution? Okay, so we're going to split this with a column delimiter is, let's do the space, and we're going to have the semicolon as the row delimiter, so that's our things. And then we're going to do a by row sum. After doing minus on that, I guess. Okay, so now we want to scan this. Let's do this in a separate cell to start with, because I'm not super confident on my scans. Scan this, and then we're going to scan them. That gives us a number. Let's just scan some. And we're looking for the NA, that's an NA cell. There's no price for that feature. You throw the dice game, move on to an if error for 100. So we're looking for the first price. Okay, and then we're gonna XLOOKUP 1 in there. Match right exact match or next larger. And then that gives us our 100. So let's start putting these in here. That's a scan of that. And this is an XLOOKUP on that. We will need to add some modding at this point on 39. And then we'll need to do and then we XLOOKUP list and close brackets. Get rid of those. Copy, paste, autofill down, and we'll paste these into level 1. Okay, so we've got a couple of issues here. Yeah, why are you not picking up 180? How about we do a filter so that it's not 0? Okay, so I think what I need to do is just let's do it as a filter. So here, rather than doing an XLOOKUP of 1 and trying to find the next thing, we're just going to do a filter on if error is going around here. List not equal to 0. That gives us our thing, and what we're going to do is we're just going to take row 1. That changes that. And we've got 60 points. Awesome. So one player on his own and buys every function he lands on. What is the player's bank balance after 5 turns? So we're going to take the same thing, except okay, so die are going to be this bit. Scan. That's a scan, that's a by row, that's a sum. That's how many steps you've taken, so we're going to call this one steps, do that. And then we're also going to do m steps is mod steps 40. And list if error m steps game board sale game board price. And then let's get list. So that goes to 8. That returns if error at 100, and that's our thing. So this is saying after 5 turns. So let's do a minus minus on that. Sometimes it's not going to be a number, so we're going to do an if error, put 0 on that. That gives us a bunch of numbers, and we're going to then sum that. And we're going to call this spent. And then, how much do we start with? Buys everything in its own, so what's the bank balance? So we start with a bank balance of 1500. So we're going to have 1500 minus spent as the output. That gives us 600. That's a match. So autofill down. Save to left. This doesn't add up. That's because we're not. Why are we not on? Let's toggle that calculation mode. Calculation mode is excellent. Yay! I have an audience. I'm not sure how this is going to go like super well. I'm halfway through. I've done 2 levels now. All my bonus attempts are like wrong, so I don't know what's been asked for the bonuses just yet, but I'll come back to that. One player plays on his own and buys all the functions he lands on, and which round will he run out of money? So what we're going to do is we're going to, instead of doing a sum, we're going to do a look at spent here. This is our list of spent. Nope. Oh my. I don't know if you caught me on the stream there, but OBS Studio came back to life. Reconnection successful, thank you. Okay, so I spent, so I'm going to do a scan on spent, starting at 1500, doing minus spent and sum. Let's see what that does. No, that's meant to be a scan. Oh yes. Spent is your total spent. We actually want list. Yeah, there's our list. So we're going to do a scan on list. Scan from 1500 on list, on minus list, and sum. And that should kind of reduce how many as we go. And then what we're going to do is we're going to call that the running total. And after the running total, we want to know when they're going to run out of money. So we're doing an X match because we're looking for the round number. And we're just going to look up 0 in running total. And we're going to find exact match or next smaller item. And that is our answer. So that actually says 10 and they've got 15. So let's have... Let's look at our running total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So my 10's there. So let's have a look at our list. I've got 150. So according to this, yes. But am I getting the right numbers? So let's have a look at our steps. We've got 12, 22. When we get here, we get 39, and then we've got 47. In reality, we would expect that to then go to 47 would be 40 is 0, so it would get to number 7 if we're applying the mods. So let's have a look at M steps, and that should be 7. That's what I would have thought. So we got this lambda at 400. I'm actually going to run all my individual ones next to each other so I can see what's happening. Start with die, then steps, then M steps, then list. And then we're going to make this one running total. I'm going to move these across one because die apparently goes there. So that's 12, 22, 29, 36, 39. Add 8 more, and we would go from 39 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, which should be a 0. But if we've already bought it, then it shouldn't count. So we want the first instance of each of these, don't we? Okay, so if we're looking at this M steps here, does this work? You can see how my brain works in practice. First time? No, I don't think so. So okay, scan. How do you do a cumulative count in that? Maybe I just need to do this in 2 different things. And that should be a minus on that. And now we... No, that's still doing the same thing. In the 10th step, all the functions he lands on, is there something else that you can land on that don't get you a price? That gives you a price? That data table, silver. It is worth 200, I didn't see that there. Oh, crap. I've only got 5 minutes left, and I'm so stuck on this one. And that's 2 players. Wonder how this works. End space is... The mod works because it starts, it's base 0. Buys all the functions he lands on, and what round will he run at him? Does he, am I counting money he gets in? Probably haven't done that. Okay, let's do... So I'm going to call this one price list. And this is going to be action list. Let's have a look at action list. Do nothing, get, pay. Okay, so and okay, so if I did that, this is now our new action list. Spent is that. Other money or total money is spent plus other. Let's have a look at total money. Oh, no. Should be list. Price list. Okay, so that's what we're getting. Minus prices, so that's our spending, and then this, we're going to scan this. So if we do our running total, that goes there, but it's still only at 10. So I don't get the point. So that's us after 30 minutes. We have 220 points. I'm not impressed with that. I actually did worse on that one in my time run than I did on Backgammon. Not Backgammon, Bushland Adventures. So, that was attempt number 1. Awesome. Thank you. That is our starting point. I thought that would be easier than Backgammon. Maybe it's one of these ones that's not ranked that easy, or maybe it's just like an interpretation thing. So I'm going to duplicate the game. And if we look at my old games here, I had Robot and so full solve. So we want a copy of this that is a full solve. We're going to duplicate this game actually, and we're going to do a full solve on the letter C. And this is going to be our collect them all. Okay, we've given ourselves 6 hours. So I absolutely can do this in 6 hours. I hope. We're going to start again. Let's hide compbot. I'm not entirely sure what is happening on this level 3. So I'm going to have to come back and kind of figure out what's happening, because according to my calculations, we run out of money on that turn. But maybe I haven't read this right, because every time they pass new, they get 200. Is that as a pass thing, the way you do in Monopoly? That might be what's stopping me from getting level 3, because I was not accounting for that. Let's do that. And it honestly, it feels like a pretty damn hard one. I should really read stuff, but you know, I have an idea of what I'll do for level 3. I could see my bonus 1s and 2s were completely wrong, and I'm pretty sure I got this calculated okay. So I don't know what that is meant to be, and I'm not going to know until I put the right answer in. So I'm going to have to recalculate these and work on dice again. So let's close that copy of Collect Them All. That's my first attempt. And I might actually downloads. Let's make sure that is called number 1 so that I know which one it is. Awesome. So we have a new draft we've got up to 6 hours to do a full solve of this and find out what's actually happening. Let's have a sip of tea before it's completely cold. I do need to learn to use autofill down to write scans for me automatically. What? Wait, how? Oh, wait, autofill down does like a... No. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna need... I definitely could have used Lambda Robot. I think definitely on level 3 there. Like, I was thinking it's a level 3. I should be able to solve this in a single cell and then just do an auto copy down. However, that is not how it worked out in practice. So let's give it a go. I'm going to hit start on this. We do now have 6 hours to finish it. I'm hoping to be done in hopefully just over an hour at maximum, which would be roughly in line with what we spent on Bushland Adventures, but let's give it a go. There's only 5 levels. This could have been like, you know, not that hard. Okay. We've got this. Let's give the game board a name. I'm not sure what we're doing with the visualized game board though. I'm gonna take here and actually just do a replace. So get dollars gives you nothing, and then pay dollars gives you minus, and hopefully that gives us a negative number, and then do nothing. I'm going to put a 0 in those cells so I know that it had a thing in there. Okay, so that's got some there. We've got price over here. So we could actually have sell cost of something like equals that plus that. So now I can have, like, you know, if I'm buying something, but then I also need to know if it's the first time I'm buying something. But across all the games, 1 to 100, how many times did a player throw a 12? So what I did before is I ran import lambda library. So compile wasn't working to set this up. So I'm just going to do an import lambda library. Use the case inputs lambda that someone's created. I couldn't tell you who created that one. It does have all of these here, which I don't actually want. I just want these columns. So keep columns of array. May as well use some OA robot fun here. That means that this space is free for me to work in on the right hand side. Oh, no. I mean, that did it. I could just have done a take 5. Okay, so I'm just referencing that column D, but what I'm doing here, so my version, no, I don't want the choose calls. Ah, I see what you mean. So autofill down to that. So I don't actually want that. I just want that. But then on this one, I'm going to go across one. Okay. Now I have all of the moves. I do a text split on that with a semicolon. That gives us all our individual moves. I don't know why I'm going down. That is easy enough to autofill down. And now we need to find, I did see a 6-6 in here somewhere. Do you think in the last one I saw this 5-5, thought it was a 6-6, and then decided to go with that? That's a 6-6. I'm a bit worried maybe that's what I did. That's a 6-6. Okay. Whatever. I don't actually want to go all the way across this. I'm just going to do... Okay. I want a command that literally just wraps everything in a minus minus because I often use like Boolean logic and then sum it. So that has got 166. That one I would imagine has none. There's one with another one. Okay. Okay, so according to this, this is how many times they've rolled a 6-6, a 12, right, in each question. And the case asks, in bonus one, across all the games 1 to 100 but excluding the examples, so that excludes examples, how many times did a player throw a 12? And this says 69 times. And yet, I'm not getting that. What if I just do this, Jack? I'm doing a find all here. Okay, so we've got 75 in total. One of them is in the bonus one question, so we're not counting that. We need to check which one's on it. That's not example. That one is an example, so there's 2 less for examples there, or questions. Not. That one is in an example. So that's 3 less for examples. And that's level 5. So it should be 72 according to find and replace. But it's only 69 according to my calculations. Nope. Okay. We're going to try some bonus hacking here, just until we get the answer. And I still think it's going to be somewhere. If there's only 75 of them, it can't be those 3 that I've counted. Ah, but they can occur more than once. Damn it. You can have it multiple times in a row. there were definitely some rows here where it happened more than once. Okay, that's not much use. Let's do a minus minus on a trim. I mean, there's a possibility we've got an extra space around them. Still coming out at 69. Okay, so that's no good. I mean, this seems to match up with what I'm seeing. But again, I'm comparing to this cell. What if I do? It doesn't like my answer. So what if I do? Here's my trim. I'm going to do dice around these. Okay, dice doesn't work, so let's try dice by Hayden around these. That gives us a number. And then by column of this, we're going to do a sum on a text split by space. That did not work. Because I haven't actually put a lambda in here. Text split A, close lambda. That's because I haven't put a minus on it. So, 3, 6, no, that's not helping. Why don't we just do a map on that? That works. Okay, so here I've got a map on that cell, and we want to do a sum minus minus that equals 12. Stop doing autocorrects with stars. So that's saying we've got 1 that equals 12. And again, that adds up to 69. So I don't know what's happening with my bonuses. Maybe they've got the wrong answers in here. Perhaps I should actually go and look at my personal case library. This was 2022 MEWC. Collect them all. And I'm going to put that in our working folder. I'm going to extract this. And let's have a look at what the actual answer is for this bonus rather than spending 3 hours on this bonus. $119. 119 times. That is nowhere near the 69 that I got. So something else is happening here that I am not getting. Something very strange is happening here. Why do I not get 119 or anything near it? Let me see, can I do... Five to 7... Okay, so it works if I, my case setup, I just need some error trapping for some blank column headers. So that has actually worked with the case setup this time. I don't know why it's doing those. I think it's because it's looking at that table. It's also getting a player number, so actually we want dice rolls. So let's run dice by Hayden on that. And then we're going to split by semicolon. And then we're going to do another text split. We're doing exactly the same thing that we did before, except row delimiter space. I'm trying it on my new version just to see if that works. Okay, and we're going to do a sum by minus minus of that. Okay, so that's giving us all the values that have been rolled. Again, I'm getting that there are 69 12s that have been rolled across all the levels. So, are we sure that we're looking at a 12? That seems so weird. Because when I'm looking at them, we'll just, okay. Let's solve the rest of the case. We can get back to that. We're going to set this up as exactly the same way we've done in that one. Map this. Minus text. Split. Stop trying to put stars on my lambdas, you jerk. Okay, so there's our 4, 4, 7, 7. Now, I'm going to save a lambda for this one. This is going to be our roll value lambda, and our input is going to be dice values. And this is our roll value. So, that's not giving us the same value. I want the full list, I don't want the first one. Okay. I forgot to put the hash on that before doing the save lambda, but we do have lambda robot used. We've got a roll value here, and what we want to do is then scan our roll value. You said I can use a scan with autofill down. Stop trying to autocorrect the names of my lambdas. So if I no, autofill down doesn't actually like that one. Will this do a scan? So if I put a 0 there and I put the first value and I do a plus. You need to know to use autofill down to write scans for you automatically. Yeah, I do. Why is autofill down not working at all here? Scan that, comment. Okay, my autofill down's not working. all. So we'll just do a scan of a sum, and then he's done some very nice stuff with that. Then we're going to do an XLOOKUP. Did I give this a table? No, I did not. That seems to do a job. That's a good point. Let's check my Lambda robot status. Where is my Lambda? I mean, this isn't a update latest version of Lambda robot. Maybe I've not got that connected properly. I don't know when the last time I did that. Right, so we're going to look at the cell number and we're going to return the price. And then we'll just do a take on that one to get the first row. And that's our answer. So that's our, this is our position, that's our price, that's our first price. Okay, we're officially off the mark. I've got 60 points. It's only taken half an hour. It's taken nearly half an hour just to get the first level because I was faffing with trying to get that bonus working and I have no idea what's happening there. So, level 1, we're going to do the same thing here as we did on level 1. That gives us that, our position, our price. Our ignore all fines and bonuses on the game board. Okay, so we're just looking at the price. So our running total is going to be a scan on the starting value and minus the price and sum, and our starting value is 1500. Sorry, that's not so. And at the end we're going to get that. So okay, and value on that. I mean, it's a lot faster working with, okay, let's get the auto width right. It is a lot faster working with Lambda Robot. I've just done levels 1 and 2, even though I'd faffed for half an hour trying to get that stupid bonus. Okay, so we've got this. Now, one player, he buys all the functions he lands on which run he run out of money. So I'm guessing what we're actually needing to add here is we've got the price. We also need the other income. So what's that called in here? I suppose I can just paste exact formula and then just change GB to action. And then pass go. So here what we'll do is we'll take, and instead of a mod, we'll take an int of that over 40. And okay. So we're gonna do a scan on this, starting with 0, lambda AV, and 200 times V minus A. Nope. Nope, because we've got 200 times that's cumulative. Damn it. I need like a stacky thing. Let's just do V minus A. That one. No, because it's getting bigger each time. Let's just do this as separate columns. My brain's not functioning very well. Oh, could I do like, okay. If And we're just going to drop one row at the... Oh, why don't we just do a drop instead of a take? So if I'm going to drop the last row and then drop the first row and take the difference, that should give me the other way around. Drop the first row, drop the last row. That gives me the 1 0. So at this point, that gives me the 200 when I pass go. Pass go money. So our total is going to be that plus that minus price. If I autofill down, I feel like that there are some elements of autofill down that seem to have, yeah, so that's done the full array. $1,500. And now this is saying we run out at 15. That is correct. Finally! Okay, so this is where we got to with level 3 last time. I mean, we're still over the 30-minute mark, but that was more faffing around with trying to work out that bonus. So that's not the thing. So there's our running total. So I'm going to call this one last turn, and we're going to do an X match on 0 in here to find the exact match or the next smaller item, and that should give me a 15. And I'm going to save lambda on this one. And this is going to be last turn on this. Ooh. Okay, some of them are correct. Let's throw in for some points so far, and then we can kind of come and work out what's happening here. So we have 11. Mod of that. That gives us some prices. However, I'm going to guess some of them are duplicates. Let me do a quick check. So we do hit 18 again. We hit 35 again. So these are all things that we've like... The first time we get it, we need to count it, but the second time we don't. So we get 200, then we... so our second lap. 9, 15, 18. So this one we can't buy again. So that is... Oh, also our starting point is not the same. Huh. Why are you giving a 14 here? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Why are you giving a 15? If that one is 14, it is not. Okay, so we're actually looking for an 18 because we're not expecting some of these to reduce. I mean, this is not an easy case just to be mucking about with. I think I celebrated too soon again, like I did with B. So this should be fun. So first up, we need to do, is this the first? First time in sale. Let's delete last turn. Okay. So now we're going to do first time in sale is going to be is this the first time that we have hit this sale? If this equals 0, then 1, otherwise 0. Now, is there a way to do this using autofill down? Oh, that does work nicely. So that's just created a map on my position of Q8 to Q37. So this could actually be a V stack of 999 and that. Would that work? No. Alright. But that's not right actually, because there's an 18. Arrgh. Nope. Because that's just comparing the two. What if I did transpose? Nope. With that. Just doing a little test over here. Oh, what about? BRB rows in all. Map. Take all sequence or let's try that. Yes. Okay. If countifs equals 1 then 1 otherwise 0. Now that means we're not going to count these the second time. Excellent. So now our running total is U9, which is our passcode, plus S9, which is the other, minus if, well, let's just do a multiplier, minus that one times that one. So that actually doesn't do that. Our running total now looks like this. At this point we go below 0, that's an 18. So our last turn should be X match that. Why are you saying 19? I'm literally looking at it saying 18. Okay. For some reason, X match was not working there. I wonder if match worked. That gives 17. X match gives 19. And this little calculation gives us 18. So we're going to save lambda on this one and call this one last turn. But that's returning an error. This one's rated easy. It's genuinely rated easy. I'm on level 3. Okay, it's when we were doing 5 levels. But I'm on level 3 and like I feel like I've been going for nearly an hour on my redo of this one. Why would Xmatch not work? What about... That was saying it doesn't give the same value as the formula. So let's do this. And if we do an audit on this, we can maybe work out what's happening here. So that's saying it's not, it's countifs. So it looks like it's the countifs that it doesn't. Okay. It doesn't like using countifs in this map inside the lambda. So when I'm doing it, it works fine. But when I do a save lambda, it's not liking that. What if I use a sum minus minus x equals y? That gives me a 14. That's a totally different result. Yeah, countifs are not great. If I use Boolean logic, that's not coming out great. And that's because that. So how do I find the first instance of something in an array? So I've got like the first time we hit that particular playing cell number, position number 18, here we're going to buy the thing. The second time we hit it, we're not going to buy it. So I was using a countifs. That's my default go-to. It's obviously not great. And then I was doing this. That doesn't seem to be working. Let's just check this sum and see what it's returning. Yeah, okay. That might actually work if I do that. If sum equals to 1, otherwise 0. Oh. Oh, I've got these the wrong way around. 0, otherwise 1. And it's giving the right result. Okay, so if I'm using, instead of the countifs, let's edit lambda. Go to this countif spot. Where were you? There. And instead of if countifs equals 1, do 1, 0, we do this something here. That's giving 14. So it's not working. Let me try first time in cell in here. Yeah, first time in cell is not working in that version. Let's lose this. That only works for the first value. Oh my god. So that only works if I'm splitting it out, but not if I've got it inside of that function. Okay, let me do a first time in cell. Let's try that. That works. That works. So this one says generated lambda is not returning the correct result, and that is because that first time in cell is setting everything to 1 when I'm using if sum. So countif doesn't work. Boolean logic on, like, I'm using a map of a list against a sequence to take the first X amount in that list and compare it to the current value in the list. Okay. So I've got the full list. I've got the rows. Now, so that's our current row number, 1 to 30, and then if I take now I should have a bunch of hash bills. Hash values, so you can't do that. Take that many rows. If I did it transpose. I know exactly where the lambda's going rogue. Great. Undo, undo, undo. Ah! No more undos. So I have we have this column called first time in cell. What I'm doing in this is I have a list of all the cells, the positions on the game board that we're hitting. So we're going to cell 11, then 18, 29, 35. We've gone round the board to 19, 15, 18. And you can see on this move here, we're hitting 18 for the second time. So when we hit 18 for the second time, I want an indicator here to say, hey, this is the second time. We're not going to buy this property a second time because we've already bought this property. So I'm creating a column called first time in sale. This is what I used COUNTIFs on, because if I was doing this without dynamic arrays, I would have used COUNTIFs. I've changed it now, so it's using a sum on booleans of it's mapping a sequence, so it's taking the first, number of values in the list and then checking how many times that matches up to our current value. And if we get, if it's a second time, that should technically be greater than or equal to 2. Then it returns a 0 so that we don't pick up the price. But when we put this whole map formula with Boolean logic on a sequence of an array versus the array itself, a take of a sequence of an array, row count, versus the array itself, it's setting all of these to 1. So it's assuming it's doing the count overall, I guess. Or it's comparing it to the exact current row. This is where my dynamic array logic falls apart. I think this was maybe easy because back in the day, these weren't dynamic arrays. What if? Okay, hear me out here. What if I don't do dynamic arrays? I know how many columns there are here. I'm going to do this like old school. But then I can't scan. I'm going to try the whole process and see if I can do it old school without dynamic arrays. This would have been easier back then from the perspective of so we're going to look up this one on price, on action, I don't know how long it's been since I've not used dynamic arrays. Okay, let's not do COUNTIFs. I'm gonna do this using Boolean array. So if f4 equals that, and we're gonna take that and do a sum of minus minus on that. Yeah, so autofill down did do a map for me, and then when it created the map, it was kind of creating something different. So if this equals 1, then 1, otherwise 0. So I'm doing this now with zero dynamic range, which is really going to mess up Lambda Robot. But yeah, that plus that plus that. Huh. I did update Formula Robot there, I think. I know. Also not in the downloadable. What the hell? I've got Format Robot as updatable, and MEWC Robot as updatable, and Text Robot. But Formula and Lambda Robot are hard-coded and don't have a update to latest version option. Oh, it's finding the first Xmatch is doing an auto. Okay, let's do that. And Match is not doing it, so let's do. Xmatch is sorting things. I actually don't want it to sort things. It's finding out minus 85 as the closest to 0. And we don't actually want that. And if we go for minimum, it's going to give 19 again. Alright, okay, wait. We don't want to do this. We want to do... that. And just have... Okay. Now we get that, and we go equals min of this. That gives us our 18. And we're going to do millions and millions of variables. You can autofill down with old school formulas too. If you aren't referencing arrays, it'll copy formula down. That's true. So that's what I normally use autofill down, like, because I'm normally just getting my answers. How was this an easy case? I'm on level 3 still. I've been like an hour and 10 minutes. And I'm waiting for Lambda Robot. I take it Eric has not been sleeping. Okay, so that's frozen. What I might do is go here, let's take a copy of our working file. Open that. I can start working on another level while I'm saving a lambda with millions of steps. Maybe I can explain to myself why it seems to think there's been a 12 thrown. Okay, level 4, 2 players. They buy all the functions they land on, and only those that are still available. What's the highest bank balance of the players after 10 rounds? First throw only decides which player plays first. Okay, that is definitely going to be a data table. Ah, hello. We're ready to have the world's longest lambda create itself. Yeah, I know. I've done this before. I'm just kind of like seeing if this will give me a solution. I really should have done this one as a data table, done all of these steps, and then worked from there. Actually, I can still do that if I kill it. I'm not killing it now. Let's go into this one. I'm going to create a data table on example 4. Okay, we're not going to do anything of the sorts. We're going to create a data table the slow way on example 4. So this is old school for anyone watching this. So we're going to look up that. On that and return that. I don't think I've done this in the longest time, where I've created a data table from scratch. Sequence. So this is 20 rows starting at 51. Answer. Column input cell. Example 4. That's in my other version. Is the file, have I unfrozen? The generated lambda is invalid in some way. Okay, we're doing a data table on this one. So, now that everything's unlocked again, no, not from array, just create data table. There's our data table. We're going to delete this ordered formula steps section here. I'm going to go to here and shift cells left, and then I'm actually going to set this to 31 because that's the one that's having the issue. And we're going to set this formula here to be doing this one. Okay. That is a lot better than what we were getting. So I had 90 points for level 3. We're now up to 150 points for level 3. I'm happier with this data table approach. And I can see that number 35 is doing something wrong, so I'm going to have to go and look at that. We're doing a complete solve here, so I may as well take the time and solve each issue and then come back. So, in 35 we have those steps. You know what? This formatting is doing my head in. There we go. Nope. Don't recalculate that. Yes, do that. So that's our Is this me doing it the slow way? I think this is me doing it the slow way. What happens? Oh, if you land on... I need to really read the case here. Okay. When a player passes or lands on you, they collect 200. When they land on any help cell, they collect 220. That is put in there. Yeah, okay. When they land on any error cell, they have to pay the amount specified. Okay. When they land on a save cell, nothing happens. When they land on autosave, the player collects $10. Okay, so it's what it's in the action. Yeah, okay, that's fine. They've got 1500. They move the number of spaces. Table to the right, there are 40 cells on the board. Some of these cells. 2 Excel functions for the finance category. Other categories, I mean, okay, great. Do we really need the categories? So I don't think I'm missing anything. The special rules are literally what's written in the action column. It's just the first time you land on a cell is the only time you can buy it. $25, $32, $38, $8, so none of those you can buy. Why is that up 400? Oh, because the other is that. Okay, so what's happening here is I've set up a pass go money thing, but if you land on go, it's double counting that. So in this one, what I need to do is just change this action to 0, and that gives us the right answers for level 3. So all I'd done on level 3 there was I was double counting any pass go money if you landed on 0. Level 3 is sorted and solved. We've got levels 1 to 3. So far that's taken me an hour and 20 minutes to get levels 1 to 3. None of the bonuses have worked yet. We're going to create a data table for level 4. I'm going to hit save as soon as that's done. Okay. Shift these left. Ugh, I hate merged cells. This was back when they used merged cells. So, unmerge. Okay, cool. Awesome. So something that's happening here is I need to get the offset of this. So I actually want to do from there to there and return from there to there, I guess. Okay. So this is our current one. Let's go to level 3. We'll get all of these. Actually, we're going to redo this from scratch. So okay, those are our roll values. P2 rolls, P1 steps, P2 steps. So this P1 current, P2 current. Now the reason I've done steps as separate before I mod it is I actually also need to, I'm using the end part to determine how many laps of the board we've done. So actually I don't want, I just want a straight mod because this is set up with a base 0, which is very nice, Arenya. Okay, now I'm not quite sure how to do this, but because I don't have to do dynamic arrays, I can actually just do this old school. But first let's do the int part. Okay. So first up, PS actions, P2 actions, P1 prices, P2 prices. Okay, so we're just going to do an X lookup on the cell we're currently in, on the game board cell number against game board action. And here we're going to do it against prices. Okay, now we're going to check if we've been to this cell before. They alternate turns, so you can't keep playing anything. The first row only decides which player starts first, therefore the data for 11 throws is provided for each player. Oh. Okay, so if they start... Players start the game, both players start on the new cell. On a player's turn, they throw both dice and move on the board the number of spaces. The game is played with 2 dice. It's shared game board. Where does it say? Hang on a second. I'm going to take a quick break.
Hey, Excel geeks, grab a tea. Jack and her robots, Excel set free. Collect commands full speed ahead. The series runs from A to Z. Oh, a robot training show. A to Z. Let's go. Hey, Excel geeks, grab a tea. Jack and her robots, Excel set free. Collect commands full speed ahead. The series runs from...
Alright, I'm back. Sorry. We are trying. So, it's a thing saying here. There's literally nothing saying that they roll their dice to decide who starts. Right? They throw both dice and move the number of spaces. And yet when you get to level 4, the first throw only decides which player starts first. Therefore, 11 throws is provided for each player. They buy all the functions land on what's the highest back. There's nothing saying what happens. There's nothing saying how that is applied. So at the moment, they both roll an 8 on that first roll. The first one doesn't count. If they both roll an 8, so what, player 1 starts? And then... that is... They've literally not described what happens here. So... And I've checked the wiki earlier. There's no information about the case. They've got some walkthroughs linked. Like to videos. But I don't want to... I don't want to sit and watch a walkthrough to kind of figure out what they're asking in the question. Oh, I'm just going to assume, since we're not seeing. The first throw only decides which player starts the first. And it says remember, as if it's said that somewhere before. I'm going to look for the word first. Level 5. On which turn, the first throw of the dice is just to determine the first move. So essentially, you provide data for 49 moves. Okay, that's level 5. What does it say first in this? Each player... There are 40 cells on the game board. They can buy an indicated amount. Players start. They don't collect 200 on the first turn. So it says first there. I'm still looking for the word first to see if there's anywhere that it says the first throw is. The only time it says first in the instructions. I feel like I could do take a punt at bonus 5. What is the price of the first functional feature that... No. The first throw only decides which player starts first. It literally has no information. What on earth? I'm not going to bitch about this case, but I'm going to bitch about this case. I'm not happy with this. Okay. If that's greater than or equal to that, then 1 goes first, otherwise 2 goes first. Let's just call that our thing. And our steps actually have to start. I'm going to drop the first column. And move this one to the right. Okay. And then move that to the right. Okay, so I haven't gotten anything there. Okay, so we're ignoring this here. We're only working with these 10. There's your 10 steps. Now, first player is 1. So our order is actually going to be that, then 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 that. Okay. Um, so that's our order, and if we do it two column, scan by column. So I'm expecting to see 7, 6, 14, 10. Yeah. So this is the order. Let's transpose. Maybe I should have done that 2 row. Hmm. Okay, so let's do a mod of 40 of sequence, 40 columns with 2. That should give us a 1, 0, 1, 0. I'll do 2 minus on that. And then if this is player 2, if player 1 it stays as it is. If it's player 2, we're going to invert that, so that's okay. This gives me a 1, 2, 1, 2, or 2, 1, 2, 1, depending on what we've got. Okay, so that gives us our current player. So this is the scan I'm not in, I don't know what to do with. Mm. This is where we'd normally use a countif. Now I know it's going to have 40 columns. 40 columns? 20 columns. How many columns? I've got too many columns there. Okay. Let's zoom out just a little bit so I can see what's happening. Okay, and then, I mean, we probably don't need these ones, so let's actually just do... Okay, so that should eliminate any prices for things that have occurred before. So 7's occurred before, so that becomes, no, that doesn't count. 6, 14, 10, 19, 22, 23, 7, 31, 14. Yeah, okay, cool. So if it's occurred before, that's eliminated the prices. We've got actions, prices, and what we're looking for here is what is the highest bank balance. So the start balance for both of these is 1500. And we also need to do a passgo value. Let's take the current player, put them up here. Okay, that's our current player. And then we can do this, but we're going to do this with laps. So we're just taking this down to here. Mm. Turn. Sequence. 20 columns. Starting at 0.5, step 0.5. Starting at 1, step 0.5. There we go. That's our turn. So if it's our first turn, that's that. Otherwise, if our laps minus the 1 2 cells before equals 1, then 200, otherwise 0. Nope. Let's go with I'm doing a random combination of dynamic and non-dynamic. This is going to be fun. Okay, so that's where they pass go, and then this is their running total. Okay, actually not their running total yet. We're going to do their adjustment is going to be their actions minus prices plus pass go. And their running total is going to be if this equals 1, then that. Otherwise, the one 2 spaces before plus the value above. And what we're looking for the answer is who has the most. So this is going to be the maximum of these last 2 values. I think we've finally gotten to the end of this level. I think we've got something. We've got something. What do you mean this game's a draft? Oh, we're on an old game. Yay! Okay, we've done level 4. Spent nearly 2 hours just on this rewatch, man. Okay, that's level 4. We're going to do the same thing with level 5. So, I'm actually doing a paste values here just to save ourselves from data table calculations. Same with this one. Save. I'm going to create a data table again here. Okay, and what I actually had to do last time was an extra calculation on player 2. Okay, so we're having some, like, annoying issues with this case being an older case, in the sense that, what the hell? Yeah. Okay. In the sense that the structure of these is a little bit different. Okay, I've got something going on here. How many do each of these have? Let's have a look at the inputs. At this point we've got, it's like 49 rounds, isn't it? 51. Oh, there we go. So there's 50 different roles. So So we're going to do this the same as the previous level, except I'm going to have to do this up to turn 49. Yeah, turn 49. So that's going to be a sequence of 49 turns. These are our turns, that's our starting money. Okay, that's got the right kind of size there. I'm not even sure what we're asking yet. We're looking at the function categories. So if we look here, we have a category. I'm going to filter category such that category isn't 0. So that gives us our things, and then we're going to count unique values in array. So there's 2 finance and 2 recently used and 3 of everything else. So I'm going to put this list at the top of level 5. Unmerge some cells. It's 8 rows. How many rows is this? 8 rows. Awesome. This is our list of categories. Wow. How long have I spent on this so far? Nearly 2 hours on this case. We're up to level 5 of 5. And then we need to go back and figure out why the bonuses are giving me something completely different from what they're saying in the answer file. Which may involve watching Renier's video of his own case solve. So, here we've got turns, we've got current play, we've got cells visited. And we've got how many laps is not going to be as important. This is a first visit on these ones. I don't think we need prices, so let's go with categories. Okay. The fact that we got level 4 right, by the way, from start to finish, probably means we've got the logic that they intended for the roll the first cell to see who goes first. Alright, okay. Passcode probably doesn't come into play here. adjustment doesn't come into play. We'll do a running total though, but we'll do a running count. So if it's a first visit, so count ifs if M36 to M36 is that value and M30 to M30 is that value, so if it's a first visit, so this XLOOKUP we're only going to apply on first visits. If equals 1, then XLOOKUP, otherwise and on the XLOOKUP, if it's not found, we're going to return that. I'm not doing actions. Category is that. No, you're not picking up the right thing. We're meant to be picking up the current cell. This counts how many of the previous are. Date and time. And where the current player is the current player. Okay, do this up to the current one. Okay, so now we're counting how many times a category occurs for the current user, and then we also need current category count, and then we also need current category target. Look up that against this table that I've created at the top. And if it doesn't exist, we're going to make just a okay. Now check if that equals 999. That's not the one. Otherwise, if that equals that, this is the one. We're at 0. And now we go back. So the first time someone gets all of them will be, in this case, that one there. So we're going to do an XLOOKUP of 1 against that. And with the turn number is 8. Is that the correct? Yeah, okay. So equals 8. And that should potentially give us our answers. That gives us a bunch of NAs. Great start. So let's look at what's happening with everything other than the example. So we've got some errors somewhere in this list. Oh, we're just not getting any matches. Okay, what happens if we don't have a match? Okay. So if we've got an error, we're returning 50. So according to this, no one ever gets it in real life. Let's see if that's somehow true. No. We've gotten 5 correct answers by putting the default in. And something has happened. So, let's have a look. We're doing that. Player 2 goes first. The current player. That should be based on that. If I press calculate a bunch of times. Hmm. 6, then 7, then 16, then 14 euros. So that's the right cell. That's a logic one. That's daytime, text, maths, information, finance. So there's another logic. This person has 2 logics. Try a thing. Okay, that's probably got a lot to do with it. I've limited my number of turns for all my games. So it's not actually getting to the point where we've got the turns. There we go. Now we've got some answers. Let's pop those in. And we have 100% on level 5. Yay! Oh my gosh. Okay. We're 2 hours in and 5 minutes. And we've gotten levels 1 to 5. Now we can go and do the bonuses. But first we're going to take these data tables. And lock that like that so it's not recalculating. Hit save so I don't lose everything. And now we're going to do this. What's the largest number of full laps a player has made on level 5? Okay, so I'm actually going to go back here, take a copy of level 5. Call this one B3. And then I'm going to create this as a data table because I've just removed the data table, which I should have maybe done before changing all of that. And then, okay, this is the maximum of the laps that have been done. Right. Okay, that one is going on 9 laps. Okay, cool. So everyone's doing either 8 or 9 laps. And bonus. Three is asking. Okay, fine. Let's undo that because we've overwritten that. Let's do it here. What's the largest number of full laps a player has made on level 5? So I can actually get rid of all these calculations because this is unnecessary. And here we're doing full laps, so we don't even need the current. Okay, so how about we just do the maximum of these? Okay, fine. Just do the maximum of the last ones. Well, that was faster to calculate. It's got these annoying merged cells there as well. Okay, so these are all our values for the total number of steps someone has taken. So the most anyone's done is 9. Do I now have an int? No, that's rounding up. We don't want to round. We just want an int. Well, let's go to bonus 3 and see if that works. It is the correct answer, but it's odd that they would go with something like that. Okay, what's the total number of pips thrown on all dices in the games 1 to 100, excluding the examples? Now, in levels 4 and 5, they do have the first roll is not counted, but I don't think that's what's happening there. So Okay. I see what's happened here. So with 51, because of the merging of the cells, it's gone and put in just the player 1 roles and not the player 2 roles. That is why I can't find anything. Okay, so if I just set this equal to that value. Okay, let's take the row above that. Okay, so there's 70, and I have to go equals. Okay. So those are all of them. And if I just remove 51, okay, so I know why I went wrong with my bonuses. And that has something to do with that. So if I take so this is counting 12s, this is going to be a sum of these, and that gives me 119. The reason my bonus is messed up was because of how I pulled through the case inputs, because we had merged cells. We ended up with things in the wrong row. So the total number of pips on all the dice, that should be easy enough to get as well. My case inputs is not a very useful thing, so I'm going to go there, and I get 29843. Let's pop that into our bonus sheet as a reference, and pop that into here. Bonuses actually took surprisingly quickly. I'm going to hit stop solving early because I think that was the last of it. And we got the full score in 2 hours, 13 minutes and 16 seconds. Holy moly. Okay, so that's 60, 120, 133 plus 16 over 60. That is like honestly my slowest start out of all of these. I was getting 9 points per minute. This was an easy case. This was not an easy case. The merge cells messed me up. I'm not gonna lie, that was some dodgy behavior by me. Dynamic arrays messed me up because I really need to find a way to make dynamic arrays determine if something has happened earlier. I'll need to go check out someone solving that to figure out how to do that. But that's our starting point. We've now officially started collect them all. I've logged the times that it's taken to get full score, and we're going to have a look at that. Yeah. We're going to have a look at that using OA Robot in the future sessions. So this first session is, how long has the stream been? Like, I've got 2 hours 51, so I'm going to put this down as 3 hours, including the prep beforehand and afterwards, and any extra time we do now in calculating the OA Robot self goes into this. So I've spent more time just doing my own solve in this one than I spent on doing the full OA Robot solve on the first one. Okay, thanks everyone. I will see you again next time. Goodbye.
Hey, Excel geeks, grab a tea. Jack and her robots, Excel set free. Collect commands full speed ahead. The series runs from A to Z. Oh, a robot training show. A to Z.